Good morning. Welcome to On the Level Racing channel. And today we've got a face of racing from York and Ascot, which obviously the highlight of the whole two cars is the return of the mighty filly Enable. Is she going to be good enough as that last run got rid of the cobwebs? I took her on last time, and it's a good possibility I'm going to take her on again. So we're going to move on to the 150 without any hesitation. It's the listed Pat Ellery Stakes here, over 7 furlongs, good to firm ground, 150 at Ascot. And I put up a horse here last time. He's down at the bottom now. Twassell for Owen Burrows. Won well last time at Epsom and a Derby meeting, but I'm not too sure that I feel that has taken this calibre of step up in class. It might, I see him out here, I think, especially with Martin Hardy books. No disrespect to Martin Hardy, but if I was going to have a horse of this nature, I have someone a bit more, like Jim Crowley on board probably. So look at this race. Many with chances. You've got to take obviously the Ascot form here from the Royal Meeting. This will bring the likes of Saika, who represents Al Shakab Racing, and good enough run when finishing third in the Coventry. But I think the Coventry wasn't a very strong one, especially when the winner was 150 to 1 shot. Nando Parando, and I'm not convinced the Coventry was strong. Kadar's been beaten since. Dark Lion's been beaten since. There's a few. Existence been beaten since. Creative Force has been beaten. Chorizo was back there in 11th. So, and I'm not expecting anything really to come at that race and land this race for Dettori in Gosden. On to Roger Varian's horse here. I think it's probably the strongest horse in the field. St. Lawrence. I put this up last time. I was very disappointed when finishing fourth in the Superlative Stakes over at Newmarket. Again, had every chance, close up throughout the race, 2 out, and was ridden and just kept on very, very one pace for James Doll. And wasn't even fans that day, drifting the market heavily from 8s to 14s. So it wasn't really really fancy, but I actually tipped up the winner of the race, Master of the Seas, for Charlie Appleby. Godolphin here again. Buick and Appleby team up here at Ascot on Naval Crown, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this horse come on from the Newmarket win. Newmarket third. I do apologise. Went behind a horse called Youth Spirit of Andrew Baldings. Magical Land back in second. Again, that's quite a strong maiden, I think, with Magical Land. I think this horse has been booked. Yeah, he's in the National Stakes, the Group 1 over at the Curragh in September. So it's very good form. I said you also got Chorizo in here as well. But I think looking over this race, it's very, very open. You got Cobra in there for Clive Cox, a stable that's really turned the corner recently, especially on the juveniles. And I won't be surprised. I see a better run for this horse. His 3 runs: 14 to 1, 100 to 1, 80 to 1. I mean, it's got. Look at it. He was in the Coventry, 11th in the Coventry, and came out of Newmarket, and in the July Stakes finished 7th. So they've tried him at pattern level, and they've dropped him back to listed company. And it'd be interesting to see how this horse runs at 50 to 1. But what I do like in this race, I think Richard Hannon's horses, 2 juveniles, are really, really changing now. And if you look over the last few weeks, he has been banging the 2-year-olds in and at good prices. And I think here he's Walton Bassett colt here. Chindit, I think, could run a very big race. I thought he was quite impressive, even though some said it was just an average-looking maiden. But I think that when it looked Doncaster was quite impressive. Hands and heels, comfortably. Pat Dobbs never got after the horse at all. And literally, that was a good to soft ground. It was just quicker. But I just think it was quite impressive. and I think that's the best form in this race. I think at the prices in the market, I mean, it's a very open market. You've got 7-2, 4-1 joint second favourites, in 8-1 bar. So you could really, look up the first 5 in the betting here and have a good crack at them. Do you go Royal Ascot form, or do you bypass it? I'm going to bypass it. I think 1 point each way at 8-1 with Bet365 on Chindit, Richard Hannon's horse, in the 150 at Newcastle. Ascot, sorry, 150 at Ascot. I'm not going to go in order. I'm going to go, obviously, I do the races at one meeting either way. We move on next to a massive Moet Chandon International Stakes over 7 furlongs again at 225 Ascot. 20 go to post. You'll definitely get 4, maybe 5 in this race. Bet365 will probably pay 5, as will probably Paddy Power. And here, I think this horse could run a very, very, very big race off Roger Varians, and that's Mutamasik. I think you could totally overlook the last run over at Newmarket when finishing behind a horse that I tipped up in Motakahiel. I just don't think the horse got to run the race at all. I just think Ryan Moore, typical Ryan Moore, the horse is backed into favouritism. Ryan Moore just had no idea what he was doing on the horse and just pulled him up. Whether it was a plot, to run here, I don't know. But excuse my language, but thank fuck no Ryan Moore on this afternoon, which is absolutely perfect. We get Dane O'Neill. You're definitely getting run for your money with Dane O'Neill on the back of the horse. Spanish City finished in front of the selection, obviously, but I think that form can be reversed. Noel Mead here, Marcy Mead's also Oisin Murphy on Ebury. A nice gelding by Ifrage, no problem with the trip. Reasonably good run, finishing 6 in the Buckingham, again behind the horse I tipped up. So really the selection's got to turn it around with the Buckingham Stakes form, with a few of these in the race. But I can't see why not, to be honest. It's very open. Vela Kent is up there again. I mean, it's going to be a situation that Vela Kent's going to pop up, and I haven't tipped him up. I've tipped up the last 3 runs, and I've left him alone today. And I'm very tempted to still have a little bet on him as a Dutch. So, because I still think this Vela Kent, even at I know he's got 9 stone 10, Dettori on board, but I just think there is a run in him somewhere that he will pop up, and he will pop up when I don't at least expect it. And it's just because consistency that Mark Johnston keeps running him, and Dettori seems to be perfectly on all the time. So I'm going to go with the top 2 in the weights here against the field, which is a very, very daring thing to do. I'm going to have a half a point each way on both. So half a point each way on Vela Kent. Purely because I'm staying loyal to the horse that eventually he will pop up here somewhere. That's 14-1. We've crossed the board most firms, Vela Kent. And it'd be a half a point each way, 8-1 on Mutamasik for Roger Varian. That's in the 225 at Ascot. We move on to the 3 o'clock at Ascot. Okay, it's a 5 race on the TV from Ascot today this afternoon, which is pretty good. I think 4 from York. So I say like a really good feast of racing. The 3 o'clock at York Ascot here is the nifty 50 handicap over mile straight, class 2, 8 go to post. And I think it's time this horse bounced back. Clive Cox's horse here, Dance Fever. I think this he definitely was in need of the run when finishing 4th first time up at Windsor in a reasonably good handicap. Beaten by a horse called Overwrite off a mark of 91. But like I said, I think the horse needed the run, and it blew the cobwebs away. And I think it'd go very close here, especially at an each way price. I mean, he's trading around about 8-1, which is doing me for 8 runners hopefully. If we're going to go for realistically the winners, we have to look at Tom Marquardt and Willie Haggis, who team up really, really well over the last few weeks. And here they have Johan. Last year at Newmarket, in a very competitive handicap, and won by a neck when beating a horse called Breathalyze. That was off a mark of 88 under James Doyle. No James Doyle this afternoon. And then you got Dettori and Gosden here on Tsar. Nice Kingman colt. Again, Didn't disappoint when winning here over to Yarmouth over a mile. When beating Yes My Boy when 13.23 to do so under Nicky Mackay, also off a mark of 88. They've both gone up reasonably like Johan's gone up £7, Zara's gone up 6 for their both wins. If we look down at the bottom here of the weights, on the 3-year-olds down the bottom now, you can have Evening Sun, Roger Charlton, Ryan Moore. That's the worry. Another good horse being ridden by a donkey jockey. Really, it's very sad. I mean, yeah, okay, he won well at Market when taking a novice contest over 7 furlongs. And was pushed out all the way live by Jason Watson. Why they've booked Ryan Moore, I really don't know. Maybe I'm missing something here. Why, I think Jason Watson's probably gone somewhere else. He's probably over at York, but I'm very disappointed that Ryan Moore is riding Roger Charlton's horse here. Then we got Sir Mark Prescott's horse, Tell Me All. Again, a horse by Lupe de Vega, which I don't think he liked the ground. 14-1 reflects that. A reasonably good second at Windsor last time out, behind Overwrite. And that form's been quite well franked because Dance Fever was back in 4th there, and Festive Star was back in 6th. Now, Festive Star's come out and won recently, and won really well over at Newbury when landing a very good handicap. When beating a horse called Tomorrow's Dream off 98. So that's reasonably really good form. And I think at the weights, I think Dancing Fever's got a chance. Really, at these kind of weights against likes of these. So whether you can change it around with Tell Me All the thing, but I said obviously that was Tell Me All's second run of the season. So I think half a point each way, 8-1 here, and Dance Fever in the 3 o'clock at Ascot. 8-1. We bet 3-6-5. There's been a bit of money around quite a bit of money around for the favourite Tsar, but I'm going to stick with Dancing Fever each way, half a point each way, in the 3 o'clock at Ascot. On to the 3:35. It's the biggie, the King George the 6th, and Queen Elizabeth Crypto Stakes, Group 1, over just shy of the 1.5 trip. And it's all going to be about Enable here. I mean, like I said, very disappointing to the fact that only 3 horses now turn up for the bloody race. I mean, Anti Van Dyke's been pulled out by O'Brien. He probably just thought, bollocks, I'm not getting involved in this strictly racing. But he's very shrewdly putting two in against Enable. And this could work very cleverly because Sovereign will definitely make the pace here, I think. But I wouldn't underestimate Sovereign in this race either. This is a very tricky contest indeed. Enable is going to try and become the first horse to win this race 3 times. 2016, 2017, 2019, obviously trying to win this year. But he's got some strong competition here. Now we're going to look at O'Brien's first horse here. William Buick Takes the Ride. 14-1 outside the field. Now this horse has been running over longer trips, mile 6. He's been running over a St. Ledger trip and finished 3rd not so long ago, actually. Went behind a horse called Twilight Payment in the Vintage Crop Stakes over at the Curragh. And that was a Group 3. As running in the Group 1 levels, last year he beat Anti Van Dyke. Now I can see why this is why O'Brien has pulled this horse out, purely the fact that if he's got Sovereign in the race and Sovereign's beaten Van Dyke already last year when taking the Irish Derby. That was of a mark of 105. It was whacked £10 penalty for that, but step up in trip. Now it comes back in trip, and that mark was mark 117, up £12. And I like to think that looking at Sovereign's outlay, I think he's definitely going to be a case of. So really, we've got to think about, are they going to send off here Twilight as the front runner, purely for the, obviously Japan in the race. I think that's what they're trying to do. I think Sovereign's going to set the pace for Japan. I mean, you've got to look at Japan realistically. I mean, this race is definitely is going to be for the Arc. This is a total prep for the Arc. if we look at Japan last year, he's winning the Grand de Paris last year, the Group 1 at Longchamp. This month last year, went on to land the International Stakes, beating Crystal Ocean, and he's got a bit defined with Enable. Enable was staying on better, but can I see Japan reversing the form of Enable from the Coral Eclipse? Now we all know that Gosden's turned around and said in the press that Vettori can set his own fractions. There's no gameplay here. There's no instructions. He's just going to let Vettori do what he does best. And if that's the case, we could see Enable make this a rout. But look what Vettori did with Stradivarius. I didn't expect the horse to win like that. And what he got out of the horse was just phenomenal. Will this be the last race for Enable? If she gets beat today, I think it could be. I don't think she'll go to York. I think we could see this horse be retiring this year if she doesn't make this win her own. But it is a hard feat to try and win this race 3 times. And again, I took her on with Gay F in the Coral Eclipse, and I'm going to take her again with Japan, because I think Japan will be better at this trip than Enable will be. I really think Enable, the 1.5 mile trip, is just on her borderline. Just on her borderline. As we saw in the Arc last year, I mean, she had the race won, she had it in the bag, and she didn't get home. Even though she was out in the lead, as we all saw ourselves. But the last strides, she was caught by Weldergeist. But I think she was all out over this 1.5 miles, and she could be all out here again. Despite, like I said, despite she took the International Stakes Japan last year, I think this horse is better and better at this trip. And stepping back up to it, it's going to be perfect for the horse. So I'm going to have to be truthful. I'm going to have to think O'Brien's done a very shrewd move here. Sovereign's going to set a strong pace. And if Enable's not up to it, and she won't come out of it, Japan will eat her alive. And I think Japan will do it again. I think Japan will pick up better in the closing stages than Enable will. And that's where I'm going to go here. I think Enable's 1 to 2. Maybe many people there playing with their hearts over their head, but I'm going realistically over my head, over my heart. And it's a 2-point win at 5 to 2 on Japan. To win the King George the 6 and Queen Elizabeth Quick Close Stakes, the 335 at Ascot. But I won't be surprised O'Brien to fool us all, and Sovereign goes off a serious clip and they can't catch him. It wouldn't surprise me at all that we see Sovereign win this race. So I wouldn't be surprised if I said to you, 3 in the race, taking Enable out at 1 to 2. You've got 2 bets there, 5 to 2 and 14 to 1. My bet's going on Japan, obviously, because that's why I feel it should go. But I won't stop you putting a silly little bet on Japan and Sovereign there. Just as, we see what he done in the Derby. We see what he done in the Derby. Sent a horse off here, 20 lengths clear, and they never caught it. And Sovereign's that kind of horse. Sovereign's that kind of horse that can set a pace fractions, and he might not come back to him. So, but the 2-point win is going on Japan, but I wouldn't put you off maybe a little bet on, if you want to, that is, on Sovereign. I'm not putting it up as a bet. I'm just telling you. I wouldn't be surprised with O'Brien on board, Then the final race on the TV at Ascot is the 4:10, 12 go to post, class 3, betfred.com handicap. Again, over just shoulder 1.5 miles. And this does take some real getting in these handicap races. And I'm going to go for a horse here. Nice price. I think we can overlook Andrew Balding's horse here. Edinburgh Castle. Last run. Was seen last time at York when tackling overtook the 2 mile trip on soft ground, finishing a 6th, but wasn't beaten convincingly by 6.5 lengths. But he was second favourite that race, and he was fancying, and he was taking on better horses. I mean, but for me, he was anyway. He was 79 rated. I don't think the good of soft ground is would help him at all. Even though he's won on heavy ground at Epsom last year, but I think of a mark of 78, I think he has to be exploited under Oisin Murphy on board. I wouldn't put this horse off going close here. Another horse I think you can look at is Mascat of Ralph Beckett's. Harry Bentley in for the ride. Again, another horse I would not put you off backing. There's been quite a lot of money around for this morning. I think he's coming from back at 9s or 10s last night into 11 or 2. Last seen on soft ground over at Newmarket. We're finishing 4th of 6 off a mark of 90, and we're coming to this mark of 90 again. Harry Bentley retakes the ride. That was over a mile and a half on soft ground. If we look at his ability on firmer conditions, he was a maiden winner over a mile on good ground at Newmarket as a juvenile. But he hasn't really shown since stepping up and trip. But as I say, it's firmer ground. Possibly Mascot may run a bit better than before. Up the top in here, I won't put you off Ben Haslam's horse here. 10 stones, a lot of carry. A horse called Sandret, Daniel Neal for the ride, 16 to 1 shot. But obviously, being by Zebedee and Manjuro, you would have thought softer conditions would have been better. And Zebedee, a mile 4 is probably above the pedigree's stamina. Hasn't really showed much. Won a mile 2, mile and a quarter high race in September last year at Doncaster, a mark of 85. Comes with a mark of 90 and carrying 10 stone. It's quite a big ask, really. But I think, the race last time out blew the cobwebs away. Needed a run. There's a few in here that need a run, really. Ian Williams' horse here, you can't disregard. Western Duke. Last seen on the all-weather at Wolverhampton, when behind a horse called Australis, but Australis has been beaten since. That was back in June, beginning June this year. Back on turf, I can see why it also might be backed here. Course and distance winner. When taking the Fruit Cup last year off a mark of 83 over course and distance. And comes into this with a mark of 84. So it's only £1. That's quite interesting. It's only £1 higher than when he won here last year on this card. So that would stand out for me as well. So I could probably go 2 against the field here on this. I don't really fancy. I think Mascat's been the most heaviest backed horse in the race. I mean, as I said, 9s or 10s last night into 5 to 1, 9 or 2 in places. So it has been heavy back. Media Storm will be obviously the form horse in the race. Down there at the bottom there, Night of Thunder horse. I said Night of Thunder for me are not horses that for a mile and a half for me. But David Simcoe and Martin Dwyer. Martin Dwyer always picks up rides very convincingly. And he's been very selective. And I suppose his short-head defeats on the first run this year at Kempton on slowish ground, beating a short head to a horse called Inherent. But I say let's see what this horse has got of a very, very good weight, 8 stone 9. But I'm going to say it's 12 in the race here. I'm going to go half point each way on 2 horses here at good prices. I think half point each way at Western Duke of Ian Williams at 14 to 1, I believe the horse is. Yeah, 14 with bet 365. And half point each way on a horse called Edinburgh Castle. Andrew Baldwin is here. And that is around 12 to 1 also. That's in the 14 at Ascot. That's the final race at Ascot on the card. Now we go over to York, which is not too far away from me. And the first race we will look at in York will be the 205, which will be, I think it's a 205. Yes, 205, which is a fillies handicap, class 3, over the extended mile and a quarter. Keep an eye on Danny Tope. Obviously, this afternoon rides York exceptionally well. And obviously, straight away, he's on a horse here called a War Scheme for Willie Haggis. Was quite impressive last time when she won over at Salisbury, beating a horse called Arivisti. That form's been franked recently, 2 nights ago, with punting, coming out and winning 8-1 for Richard Hughes. And he was 6 lengths ahead of that horse. So, and that horse's rate 76, 82 now, and a War Scheme will probably rate about 86. And comes into this off a mark of 87. So the handicap hasn't been lenient. Interesting, obviously, Daddy Tulloch goes with Willie Haggis's horse here instead of David O'Mara's horse here in Golden Hind. Nice filly by Golden Horn. We know the horse will get further trip with this. Good, reasonably good second, first time back out this year at Ripon, when just touched off by a length to Deep Snow of Sidebid Sirors, which I think is very, very good form. Tulloch ran that day, but it's interesting that Daddy Tulloch seems to think that Willie Haggis's horse has got more chance than Golden Hind. I beg to differ. I think one we've got to look out for here, even though this horse is giving lots of weight around, is Chris Wall's horse here, Black Loftus. Now, she's a nice mare by declaration of war. And the fact that she's got still one is probably quite a big bonus. And I think her form coming into this race is far better than in it when she finished behind Mottertham at Newmarket back on the beginning of June when the season stacked back up again. And that form was really strong. Especially, as you know, as Mottertham came out, tipped up by myself. He was in my nap at Sandown when taking a very, very good the Coral Challenge handicap over it there. And that form has also been franked again with Jallard of Sidebid Sirors horse, who came out and won at York last week in a very, very competitive handicap off a mark of 84. So really, Black Loftus coming into this off a mark of 86 is probably could go very close here. 7 running sadly, which is quite annoying. But there has been a lot of money around for Black Lotus today. Not Loftus, Black Lotus today. And that's where my money is going to go. I like to think he ran a big race here. So I think she'll be a 1-point win at 9-2 with Bet365. You can get 5-1 generally in some firms. I mean, you can get 5-1 with Unibet, but we'll go 1-point win, 9-2, Bet365 on Black Lotus for Chris Wall and David Allen, who rides the horse. On to the 240. This is a Sky Bet York Stakes Group 2 over extended mile and a quarter. Again, be a lot of money ran for Mark Johnson's horse here on Elacam. Purely the fact that I think they've probably got the right man on board this time around, Jim Crowley. I mean, if we go back to his Hardwick Stakes run, something was amiss there over the mile 4. Never got home, and was beaten quite convincingly by a horse called Fanny Logan, who was definitely a horse coming in. Now, a little bit of frank form there. I mean, Communique has come out last week and got beaten by my horse, Eagles by Day. So, yeah, it's really good form, the Hardwick. But I beg to differ, I think. Especially as the horse comes back to try and win his race for the second year running. And it's not going to be easy, in my opinion. He won that in soft ground last year at 9 stone 611. Comes to this off 9 stone 6 again, but £8 higher this time around. I think it's a big ask. I think the 2 horses we can probably look in this race is Ascot York of Roger Charlton's, Jason Watson, and King of Comedy, Rob Havley and John Gosden's horse. Now we'll look at King of Comedy first. Very, very frustrating horse to follow by Kingman. Been drifting all night, all morning. 11-2 out of 9-1. I can see why. It's just a frustrating horse to back. I mean, he won 2 races last year, and both novice and listed events. Stepped in the pattern company, has really, really struggled in black type over the last season and a half. And I think that's, it's probably his trip this time, but I think he's very, very beatable. Again, he's King of Comedy, but he's a hold-up horse, which can fancy York runners, but we will see. I just think King of Comedy might come up short again. At the top there is Roger Charlton's horse here, which I think has got a cracking chance here. It's Bin Khalifa's horse here, nicely bred. And I put a horse up that he finished behind in the Gala Stakes over at Sandown last time out. We beat a horse behind a horse called Magni Cause. Now that form has been very strong because Global Giants come out recently for Gosden and won. I mean, I actually tell you, I think he came out last week or this week and won. Yeah, he came out in Newbury and landed the listed Steventon Stakes quite convincingly at the mark 107. Global Giants. So that will bring the form in for Ascot and Fox Chairman. And Fox Chairman is probably the horse you have to watch out for here. He was closing in on Ascot at the line. Got it. You know, I think personally, D'Souza got it all wrong. And just didn't judge the fractions. And to be honest, he was powerfully staying on for D'Souza that day. Considering Ascot is rated £5 higher than Fox Chairman, there's more improvement to come from Fox Chairman. I don't think there's much more improvement to come off Ascot as he goes up another pound and Fox Chairman sits in nicely on 110. I think this could be a very interesting run for Fox Chairman. Others in the race, obviously, Tully Hope and O'Mara. I've got Lord Glitters here. Wasn't disgraced behind Mohathia in the Summerhill Mile Stakes over Ascot a couple of weeks ago. I thought it ran pretty well, stay on well to the finish over the mile. There's no reason why this horse can't step back up to this kind of trip and run a big race. I mean, he's run here at York before last year when in the Group 1 International Stakes when finishing 6 of 9. You know, so he didn't even finish last, but he kept on inside the final furlong. That was over a mile and a quarter. It's probably a horse that wants further than this. I wouldn't be surprised Lord Glitters is a mile and a halfer. He's a mile and a half horse, 12 furlong horse. He's definitely not this is pretty too short for him. Depends if Teddy Tulloch decides to go from the front on Lord Glitters. It'd be very, very interesting if he does. Telecaster, Hugh Morrison's horse here. PJ McDonald. Heavily backed all morning. Last seen when landing the La Coupe Stakes over in France on the 25th of June. Won out by 4 lengths. He didn't really beat much, to be honest. For me, he didn't anyway. And consider that the runner-up has been beaten again. And the third has been beaten again. I'm not too sure how strong that form is for Telecaster. If we bring him back to York, I mean, he won the Dante Stakes here at York over the course and distance on good to firm ground when people called 2 Darn Hot. Two Darn Hot was rated 126. We can't put Telecaster in that kind of rating. That would just be stupid. But Japan was back in 4th. So it's a good yardstick. And the fact that he stays this mile and a quarter at York very well is good. And I would have to put, I can't say 126 and 2 Darn Hot. I cannot put Telecaster in that category. I'd have to probably go back to Japan, mark of 111, to bring in Telecaster, probably into 113, probably 119 maximum. And this horse is not rated any more than 119 for me. I mean, what's he coming in this race off? 113. So Telecaster definitely could be £6-7 well in here, and especially that he does get weight. He does get weight, as he knows. Sorry, but it's just interesting. Obviously, PJ McDonald rides a horse for Telecaster, and he likes the track. So he won a Dante here. It could be very interesting here, Telecaster. I can't place it in a calm. I really can't. I think his trip's all wrong. Fox Chairman is very interesting for me. I think he's a danger to all of them here if getting around the race here. But I'm going to go, hopefully, in fact, because the 2 horses that went in here is Fox Chairman and Telecaster. More Telecaster than Fox Chairman on the weights and the ratings. I think for me, Telecastle's probably rated about 100 and yeah, about 160, 119 I said, didn't I? So yeah, 113, he still went in. Even if I had him down to 117, 118, he's still a £6 went in on some of these horses. So I think Telecaster could bounce back here. That win in France could definitely have sharpened the horse up. And it's been quite a bit of money around for this horse all day. So I think a 2-point win at Bet365 at 11-4 on Telecaster. 2-point win on Telecaster in the 240 Sky Bet York Stakes over at York. That's the 240. On to the 315, which is the Sky Bet Club Handicap. Class 2, over just shy of the mile here at York. 9 go to post. And I'm in the pocket here. Right down the bottom of the card there is Hartswood, Richard Fahey. As horse. I think this horse is going to be too classy, this horse. I could be eating my words, but I think the money's come for the horse, and I think it's perfectly correct. For me, the way he ran over 7 furlongs on good soft ground when finishing, was it half a length behind a horse called Black Caspian. That was a mark of 108. That was a mark of 82. Ran on well in the closing stages. I think this firming ground will be far better for Hartswood. I can't see a reason why this horse won't get the mile off the current mark of just 86. I think that could be very well exploited. Others in the race here, Holly Doyle always seems to pop up whenever you don't expect it. She rides Irv for Mickey Hammond here. Last seen finishing second to Swiss Knight over at Thirsk not so long ago. That was the first run. That got rid of the cobwebs. Is a York winner over a mile last year off a mark of 78. It comes into this off a mark of 89. Sorry, 85. But it's due to drop £2, and it is the horse's second run, after a wind operation. So you never know. Horses going in the wrong direction in the handicap. Just his Tad Leal going the wrong way. They're going to be dropping a couple of pounds, £2 or £3 next time for the next runs. I couldn't really have them into them. Danny Tullope here. I say he never leaves. Very rare he leaves York without a winner. Rides here on Aubain. Course and distance winner last time out in a Class 2 handicap back on the 9th of July. We beat a horse called Murad by a length. Again, I don't think that was good form. Winning the race at 25-1 under Harry Bentley. I think it was more shock and surprise than that he ran that race, to be fair. Second down there, Jim Crowley. This is an interesting booking on Owen Barrow's horse. It's El Wazir. Now, I put this horse up last time it ran, and I was really disappointed when this horse finished only third at Newmarket. In a very reasonable handicap, to be honest, yeah. I mean, Dowell Horace was in there, who was running Group 1 company. But the Desert Icon literally blitzed the field when he had his horse, and it was too far for El Wazir. It's very interesting to drop this horse back to under a mile. The last time we saw this horse at this kind of trip, which I don't think we even have, well, he ran as a juvenile twice over 7 furlongs, finishing 4th to a horse called Key Victory over 7 furlongs on Good to Firm. And he tried to make all in the race, which is not very easy at York. Very, very easy enough at Newmarket, but not easy at York. But as we know, also in the race here, Key Victory has gone on to run well. Kazar's gone on, Mesar's gone on, and he was beaten 4-7 favourite at Newmarket today. He must have fought him. Jim Crowley rode him then. Jim Crowley's only won on the horse over a mile and a quarter in novice company, and got a rate of 96 for that. And comes in at 103. It could be difficult. Is there any money around in the market? Not really. He's about 7-1. And the final horse I want to look at here, which is very, very dangerous for me, is Greenside. here of Henry Candies. Kevin Schumacher comes in for the ride. I think it was quite a good, convincing win and well-deserved win. The winner off a mark of 98 by a head over Haydock on soft grounds back on the 5th of July. That win was the first time for nearly a year and a half. So if you coming into this of a mark of 101, it's expecting a lot. It's expecting a lot. You've got the horse called Silent Attack in here. Pick 28 to 1 shots. Again, we have to last seen 101 Ascot and behind Motica Hill. Only a one on the all-weather at Lingfield off a mark of 99 back in January this year before the break. And the one on the turf. So it's a big ask of a mark of 100, really. So I'm going to go here down the bottom weight here. Richard Fahey's horse here. As I say, this horse has been heavily backed all morning, really heavily backed. I think a 2-point win at 5 to 2 with bet 365. Most firms he's across the board there, but I'm going to hope this Hartswood with Paddy Mathers on board can get his horse home here and deserve the win off the back of the last run. That's a 2-point win at 5 to 2 on Hartswood in the 3:15 at York. On to the 350, which is in the class 4. Over 6 furlongs, good to firm. Sky bet most extra places races handicap. Again, 14 go to post here. It's a minefield, to be fair. But I looked at this race last night and I like Sam James as a jockey. Even though he's carrying 9 stone 7, he's a jockey that never gives up. Now, Tukum, David Tullope rides this horse. Obviously, because he's retained by David O'Mara. But for me, if Tullope fancies a horse in these kind of handicaps and it's for Rebecca Besterman, he'll jump on. His record with Rebecca is absolutely fantastic. But I think Sam, because he's been retained, he can't get on board. So I think Sam James coming in on this ride for Victoria Angel could be a very good move by the trainer. I mean, I think you can totally overlook the run at Catterick last time out on the 15th of July, finishing 8th of 12. Very bad track, as we know. Catterick's very undulated, very hard course to win on. The problem is that this horse hasn't won since winning here over course and distance on the 1st of August 2017 at a mark of 90. However, he hasn't run at York. Sorry, the winning come at Yarmouth. At Yarmouth. I do apologise. Winning come at Yarmouth. He doesn't do a lot of winning. I mean, what's he in the handicap now? 77. If this horse can't exploit a mark of 77, I mean, 2 years ago he's winning off marks of 90 and 86. There's something wrong somewhere, isn't there? He's got, I think, under Sam James, I think he's a good jockey booking this horse on his horse, Sam James, and I think he won a big race. I think, Barrington, I think Michael Appleby's horse here, D'Souza, I think the horse is just totally exposed, can't win. Probably eat my words this afternoon. Tim Easterby's horse here, David Allen rides on Autumn Flight, probably the danger to the whole field. Probably a likely favourite for this race. No, he's not actually, no. But I said I wouldn't put you off having a little stab on Autumn Flight. But I'm going to have a bit of work. I'm going to stick to Victory Angel here of Rebecca Besterman's and Sam James on board. Can't claim, sadly, but I think a worthy bet of half a point each way, 8 to 1 on Victory Angel in the 350 at York. And I think that's the final. I think that's it. I don't think there's a 425 shown on TV. No, that'd be it. So that's the selections for this afternoon. Finally, we got there. So they cut a couple of hours to racing now, the 150. So I will shoot over the selections for you. Hopefully you haven't bypassed 44 minutes and 44 seconds of what I've been speaking about and coming to the end and just listen to the selections. That would be rather bloody annoying. I think why I'm even doing this. So we're going to go on to back to Ascot, which is the 150. I won't do it in order. I said I'd do it by the meetings. So selections are as follows: 150 Ascot. This is a half a point each. Sorry, 1 point each way. 1 point each way at 8-1 on Chindit in the 150 Ascot. In the 225, I've gone 2 against the field here. Half a point each way on Vale of Kent at 14-1. You can get 16s in places. And half a point each way on Mutamarsik, which is 8-1. Half point each way, 8-1 in 225 at Ascot. On to the 3 o'clock. I'm on half a point each way, 8-1 on Dance Fever in the 3 o'clock at Ascot. Half a point each way on Dance Fever. The big race of the day, 2-point win, Japan, 5-2. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised there's a coup here somewhere and Sovereign goes off and wins the bloody race of 14s. So I'm just saying to you, I'm not putting the bet up, but I'm just saying to you, if you feel like you want to back 2 against the 2 horses against Naval, I would. So, and then the 4:10, which is the final race at Ascot on TV. For me, I'm going 2 in the race here. Half point each way at 12-1 on Edinburgh Castle and half point each way on Western Duke at 14-1. On to York, which the first race is 205. And this will be a 1-point win at 9-2 on Black Lotus in the 205 at York. In the 240, 2-point win, 11-4, Telecaster in the 240 at York. The 315, 2-point win, Hartswood in the 315 at York. Hartswood, 2-point win. And the final selection on the York card, this is half a point each way, 8-1 on Victory Angel in the 350 at York. So that marks your card there, guys, for York and for Ascot. I will be doing a podcast for tomorrow again because we've got some good racing again tomorrow on a Sunday. It's also on TV, which is brilliant. But for now, I'd like to say the best of luck. This is have a good Saturday. Hopefully we get some many winners and push that that profit up higher over the weekend. I say it's on the level. Racing Channel signing out. Be lucky, guys.